Last night I got to check out the new film 28 years later. Does it live up to the legacy of the franchise or does it fall flat? Well, let's talk about it. Hi, my name is Bob, and today on Was It Good, we're going to be talking about the new film in the 28 Days Later franchise, 28 Years Later, which sees the return of director Danny Boyle and writer Alex Garland. Now, before I get into this review, I do want to let you know that this review will be spoiler free, but I'm going to go ahead and say that this movie is not what I expected it to be. Now, if you've seen it already, why don't you go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section below and let me know what you thought about it and where it ranks in relation to other films in the franchise. As always, don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and support the channel by hitting subscribe. Now let's get to it. It's been almost 3 decades since the rage virus escaped from a biological weapons laboratory. Still living in a ruthlessly enforced quarantine, some have found ways to survive amid the infected. One such group of survivors lives on a small island connected to the mainland by a single, heavily defended causeway. When one of them decides to venture into the dark heart of the mainland, he soon discovers a mutation that is spread to not only the infected, but other survivors as well. Over the years, I never really watched a whole lot of zombie movies, partly because I felt they were all going to be the same thing. That was until I saw the film Zombieland.
Time to nut up or shut up.
So then I went back and watched the first two 28 Days Later films, and I enjoyed them for the most part. Then I saw what was honestly one of the best trailers I've ever seen. So with a really great trailer that hyped me up, and the promise of seeing what happened to those that survived the initial outbreak, did it live up to my expectations?
Not exactly.
Let's start off with what worked. First off, I think Danny Boyle does a good job of directing this film. I thought it was pretty incredible the way he captures certain shots. And when I found out that they used iPhones to capture pretty much everything here, and they rigged a system of iPhones and they used multiple ones all at once, that just made it even more impressive because I think this looks great. Also, I think the set designs and the costumes look really good. This feels like a world that's been abandoned in certain areas, and in other parts, it's a world that's been lived in. And I really enjoyed the fact that it creates this sense of eeriness as you're seeing these survivors trying to live amid these infected people and they're trying to survive. And so it really felt realistic to me, and I enjoyed the look of everything. And like I said, it's very well shot in how they captured all of those things. Also, there are some interesting concepts here. What would life be like for people who survived this apocalyptic event? How did the virus survive this long? What would any mutations look like? So, all of those I think are pretty interesting ideas, and some of which I would have liked to have seen explored a little bit further, and maybe we'll get to see those in future films. But the highlights of the movie are the acting performances, and there are some really good ones. Jodie Comer, Aaron Taylor Johnson, and Ray Fiennes all deliver in their roles. Alfie Williams, though, he's the real standout as the story really revolves around him. And I thought it was an interesting choice to go with a younger actor in the lead role, as his character has this kind of rite of passage and he's having to grow up in this world really quickly. His performance is really good, and I enjoyed what he brought to this role. Now we're going to get into the things that didn't work for me. And first off, there are several different tones throughout this film that I just don't think mesh at all. Like there's some seriousness, comedy, the ending itself, and how that works out. None of it just really blended very well. And part of that is because it feels like it's two different movies. Like the first third felt like it was like a rite of passage, and then the rest of it felt like we were going on this quest. And so I just don't think that the different storylines and tones really matched up very well. Also, when I mentioned that there are some interesting ideas and concepts introduced here, a lot of them aren't fleshed out at all, and that really left a lot more questions than answers for me. One idea is this idea of how the virus was able to survive this long when previous films made it clear that those that were infected were just going to die out of starvation and the virus itself would eventually die out. And they give some hints as to why, but they really don't go into detailed explanations, maybe in later films, but I really had a lot of questions. Some of these ideas and concepts also led to continuity errors, as the previous film made it very clear that the virus had spread to continental Europe, but it's kind of glossed over here, and it's really contained to the mainland in the UK. And so, because of that, it feels like this was more of a retcon and they've ignored the events of the second film entirely. Maybe that was the case. And if that is, go ahead and drop a comment in the comment section below and let me know. But it feels like this was a retcon and they just ignored the second film entirely. Also, the first third of the film, I really got into that portion of the story, but the latter two thirds, I really had a difficult time getting into it as a lot of the concepts and ideas were just flat out bizarre. And some of the story choices just left me scratching my head. I wasn't sure why they took the story in that particular direction. And so, because of that, I really had a difficult time getting into the last two thirds of the film. Finally, I want to talk about the ending. I thought the ending, just like the rest of the last two thirds of the film, was very bizarre. There was supposed to be this big emotional payoff, and it just didn't really land for me. Also, the last 2 to 3 minutes of the movie, I just thought that was absolutely ridiculous. It's supposed to tie into something that happened earlier in the movie, but it was just, it felt like it was there for just a cheap joke, so I didn't like it at all. Real quick, before I get into my final thoughts, I want to remind everyone to go ahead and check out the other videos on my channel. Maybe I've reviewed something that you're interested in, or something that you've seen already and you'd like to let me know what you thought about it. Also, for those that are interested, I do have another YouTube channel with a couple of my friends where we put on a show called Dad's Turn to Talk. This is an opportunity for three dads to get together and talk about the things that we want to talk about, including movies, sports, pop culture, and have a little bit of fun at each other's expense. The link to that channel will be in the description below. Final thoughts. Was it good? There are a lot of things to like here. Like I said, this is well shot, it's well directed, it's very well acted, the designs are very good, but ultimately I was very disappointed in this film. I was hoping for a lot more, and part of that was because, again, this had one of the best trailers I've ever seen. This film to me felt very much like The Last Jedi of this franchise. And the reason I say that is because it subverts your expectations. You think it's going to go one way, and part of that is because of the first two films in the franchise and the way that the trailer looked. And instead, it takes you on a whole different ride than what you expected. Some people are going to really enjoy that. Others, I think, are going to react kind of like I did, where they like certain things about it, but ultimately are disappointed. As for me, I thought it was very well made, very well acted, but ultimately I was disappointed in it. Now, if you're still watching this long, I'd like to thank you for joining me. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll see you next time.